Okay. Study anopano ye can no. Communication for there's a feedback somewhere. Okay. Study anopano ye can no. And then stewardship day. Stewardship day. And a day Jumadi bi ashim. Anopano me di ka chechum kakra. Yehwe study o man Ghana esi kono a. Enyina ni baby inflation edru. Wo sika 10,000 inflation na abumu mienu. Na udu sika ekohye asasim. Ana udu kohye dan mu a obia nim se asase any dan de kan bia no obroni kan se appreciate in value. Ukoto car the moment abe drive car no a free showroom ababonten no you say 10% of the value na de be neko. Ba asase de udu sika kohye mu a you will never lose. The science no obia ni brace obenya de be obenya asase. And a bra ye bo nyina nso no nyina ne se da so obenya ba bia no de be uti beto. Sabe ye ka se nyina bank no ya mehwepo. E be ye adwuma. Oba na adwuma so a uhia asase a wo be si dan. Na abobra na se wutimi si dan a na ye se wa de be wa bobra. Wa ntimi si dan a sabi o ye ka se okoye no wanye de be wa mobra. Na asase ho nsem edoso ditu ene enkran ha asase ho nsem no edoso se wunimu a wanhwe yi a obeye mistake na ajapade na odu sika no bre ya usam wani fifire se wo de kopa ajapade no na anya ajapade lemu akoye de be akoye liability amount ukokọtọ a lawyer be di mi nsase sem egu court bebre yentimi nka tuwa hwe ya ene na waje mu amanaka ba unim de a eno timi guide o se de be ya o court asase a obehu de obeye asase susu no nyakopon bo asase no yenyina anim se omo obi nka ho obo bi aka ho do boy no eno a de da ho ebi meka ho da the science no wo hwe asase so a na mra de hwe so no ese uhu na watimi ahwe so yie enti ene as part of our stewardship program no ye beka asase ho asem na asase no so bia wo mra e wo ho ye ti ha ye de mra na ye adwuma saa so na wo ye asase ho adwuma so a emra eso e wo ho titino ne ye wo mra ho do bebre ne doso nyame ada roma se e nyina ya kan nyina bom ama ya to din the Land Act 2020 I say aban ede ne sahase ene ede ye adwuma bebre nti din da be honest with you lawyers ne kura bi ho no kura na omonye de be omon kenkan da wati din but won kan da nti wontimi mfa nya adwuma ene nyame aye adom ama se CA yenya expert a odi be fa landlord no na wa church mra e wasase ho na yekoto asase anase ye register ye hudie beye e wo mra no anapa me kan be say program is wa ma wa ha ho wa ma so na onya asase ho asem a memfre me because I gave you the opportunity to come here and listen and wa ma nti efi na kro no wan utie na se ebi a wa anti ase abusa question na wo ma no me sure so mo hwe me zoom so wetimi atie no zoom de ba wan tie na se onya asase a se ma memfre me enti no mefa sa akonyen na matomesa afre opani Anyidoho Timothy Anyidoho na waba mo braso ha mame emfa sambo nhia no obese osi onye ni paatoa tele ya na kanfo ne kan no oso onye ni paatoa onye obi agese we de be osumbu pa we lawyer law mu no wakon der ye kan say he is a seasoned lawyer wakon der mu ye tosu bio no uko lancer we deputy chief lance officer aka step back pe na wapem or young pa but we are rising through the ranks very fast. We are deputy chief lance officer. And now we share Ghana so the Ghana Institutional Surveyors. Ghana Institutional Surveyors. We are fellow of the Ghana Institutional Surveyors. I just say a surveyor for a war Ghana no the company for power now already or come on. You were associate members. One day we a fellow, just a word do kind. And then the Tosubiono was I a land administration officer. I a kind of lance officer. Did the church will cry and say, Greater Accra Henina. He is the Greater Accra Regional Lance Officer. Intuitions are still Greater Accra, only shake as I see be a general grant to a power. I saw him penny for one channel. Now, Yassas and Wassemono, a beer drew piano, as I see in Krahan, no Musan of Wassem. Then will be all the way with near the bay. Dear boy. Lance Commission of Koha, division and 9, 4 divisions in office. Land Title Registration Division, Omotionas. Survey and Mapping Division, Omoya Sophia Fono, Omusun Sasseno, Omotionasi. And now, Omoesha a bind size Sunina, our Greater Accra, Omotionasi. And Division 4. The other one is the Land Registration Division, Survey and Mapping Division, PVLMB, and then Valuation Division. Sir, a buying value, so buying person or Kojas as be now with your compensation. Omo evaluation, no, almost social. And when any packet, and I just say, Nadia, I said, I'm saying, we can't open $2, and you are quite with Papa way. In fact, we have presentation, you baby, Namikutia, no me, I'm who dreaming. It's best remo, in Yason, 90. On this note, Timothy, Anyidoho, you are welcome to Success Dag. Sakumono Estate SDHs, in short, SDHs. Fortunately for us, I'm say, Upiha, no new class at David. That one no take. To Pia, go any Meshawaha, into Abafi, it's more. You've come home, David Waha. And see on this note, Mijai, na Mediama, Timo, Nafi, or the Ashik Majinasi. Introduction about Kubina Pessameka, so Pessamin Candia, and with the more Munimu politics, Acrano. Some born in Mohu, Anyidoho. Unia any Koku, Anyidoho. Amen. Una you ordinary 2. And the Koku to buy a taffin the boo. Nimiano. And your cover.
Before me happy Sabbath. Yonkodo. Eyana or introducing me no na me nim so people from no ka ne ho asem na me no ka me ho asem na because the okan nyina no me start adwuma ne na ase na me sua wo nti no so ka se me ya de obibie mu a me patcho ni po kire me adwuma na ti na ofre me se me mbra ne nka asase ho asem no me bisa na se na chief na wo ho ne de me a ofre me de you have everything. But sometimes a prophet is not accepted in his own home. Inti ebia ono no kobegina ha kan ya mo behu se elder mo hunu de bia inti no ebia mo nti ase sa nanso your kan nyina no ye panyi pa ba ko walans eni inti no bibi aka nyina no me hye na ase inti uma mo nti ase sa na David nso de or minim no from 1997 and he wrote tech. Na me buy ya me te ha obo organ and I'm seeing me di nipa ye adwuma che because from that time na me nim no on fan SD in diagro no mu ye 2 on na down for yaw twene boa nti me do ya me wure ye o point you say me nim nam say oh on ni nua yaw twene boa de enye ne me nim say SD ambassadors e wo tech and na ogusu sum nyame nti no me da nyame asese ma beto no inti no kasa have come home. Now Peter and Kasa onim say mako SDA school da. My form 1 a Laboni SDA. And I may call form 1. eka kiti na me SDA ni into form 2 na me fi o kwa Adisado College because na ye last batch of A level into no me call Laboni into no I'm familiar with the church into no me danyame asese mama me akwenya into your friend me na me si o me boss a friend me amending me bana ene mo abeka nsem kakra if afa as I said so the brother Peter me friend no we there me bra me offer me senior into no into me da mo ase edwumadi o mo de share me nsan ne no ne say e be discuss Land Act 1036 a baye 2020 na act we in sorry ahemfo ebusua obia ehu se ehia se yina ye benya ho enchenchemu kakra ye ti ase wi a ebeboa yen ewo yaaye nketehudi a ye di wo asase edwuma ho nti no mefemu teuteu major presentation no ma ye copy ama sorry ne dada nkabra Peter ka se ya mamu di mechi na nso me ko a meja mechi ma me senior nti no on de wakamom na nso mu de mo kanyonko do na mo de mo asem na ato aso ama and you ntimi nka da bi me senior ba ko na ewremu a osri senior good evening so Land Act na ye beka ho asem mra foforo asmeka ya na current president Kufuado so beka ho asem obeka se ye that 23rd December 2020 na ya election ewie na nkofo aswan ehye no na ono ondai no de na nsan ahye nkrata ase so it was 23rd of December 2020 na ode ne nsa hye ase ehun kitedie na akwa ekire bebre it had started 1999 ya ka ho asem but by 2020 die na parliament pass ama president ne nsa hye ase na yedi kan a me de ye be discuss ne say ohwe sam mranimu a the definition of land is reiterated yen ka say de ye asase ye kasa asase a omusan timu wo sam mranimu so obehu say interpretation section no omoka say land ye asase na ye hu no earth no ndan nyama ye de si asase ne so no akosi ye ka appreciable height e wo wiem nti ya na dodo na wo ko ba bi obi be ka say oh masase no nanso edan ne de enye ne dia enye saa na etie se asase ne wo ho no dia de besi so ne up to a reasonable height nyina eda ne asase nti wo ka ho asema menka wo ba bi ase wo asase nya me dia nanso edan ne de edan no ntimi fa nko ba bia e ka so in fact wo hwe definition a e ka say about trees ne indua permanent trees ne saa nya ma ne nti no that's the first thing I'm pese moti ase na yes yebese ete asase ho nsem soso a ehia se yebete ase asase hodo a ye wo Ghana ha the different types of land we have in Ghana intino Elder Peter ma description or kaso lands commission wo divisions 4 ba ko ehwe aban asase so eno kire se asase wo ye asase yebeka se e aban asase eno ya asase a oman de nsa atoso Ebeka said on his done an acquisition, he's paid compensation, and now they've published an EI Amanabedane assassin. Inti Minua Peter, a Juma Waye Amaye in Warlands Commission from head office to Northern Region, Greater Accra to Central Region. Onu na penyi mu pa ohwe aban assassin so ama Ghana ye nyina inti ukodu Cape Coast. Onu na ye mayor of aban assassin e wo ho inti no. That is inti asase wo ho no ye wo aban asase ene ye wo asase a ye beka say customary land eno no ye wo ankrankre ebusua asase wo ho ansa na ye wo akonwa asase wo ho so stool land ene ye wo individuals generally metimi ato asase meto asase na edane media inti no say etwina medane mechi consamando a memba be inherit any others company timi to asase or start here no ka say sorry into asase amowo no yenka ho asem so the church also can acquire land and they can acquire it from all these people ubetimi acquire asase fia aban ho betimi nya afi ebusua ho betimi nya afi akonwa ho ye hia pa se obehu ni se nipa asase ne dia no na kire o nipa a obetimi di asase na ma eye ebusua asase a onim se ebusua panyin no family head acting enyo no nkwa with the principal elders ena se eye akonwa asase a ebeye stool occupants no ene the principal elders say individual asase a obviously eye ono ankasa say aban asase a ene de constitution ni kire say lands commission na betimi manage on behalf of the state into depending on nipa ene de no it will show us nipa betimi manage into no ye act na a breaky sections na wo act nim miensa first section here interest and rights and no na ka asase a ye wo the interest a obewom say lease so say asase a obenya na afebo those interests e wo first part nim second part ni land administration and management and no na ka so person register asase a so ya hemfo na wo asase the way so ye no e ma wo general framework na wo de be managing and a final part no e friend offenses and miscellaneous and no eye niam a obi betimi aye a e be ma no say aban so nsem mo e betimi a charge you for some wrong and I say you know that's the structure unsaka act na that is the structure and on this note no ye nsaka notice no on Thursday now so menebra Peter ye be the nsa bebo nsayim obeba abe donate 10 copies of the act ama sorry which will be available to the church library and then to it will be person or confer until we dey mu elder papa sa na ba no intino mpacho asorry nsa beka iti makasa about interest in land ye kaso ye ka allodial interest then na etre eno na etre eno na ye kan say is the highest title eno na eye wo asase ni tumi kakraka pa wo asase ne so allodial no ye dia ya na ahemfofo wo no e dia ebusua panyinfo wo no say aban so de ne nsa to so a it may become an allodial owner even an individual so when you assassin afeboa you become almost like an allodial owner then you were customary and as a usufructory and no baby a ufi and a oji assassin interest if you so me means me nko asante mampo nkonya usufructory interest because me fi ho pa me come voter region baby a na me kwa metimi I inherit usufructory so usufructory no it's more to do with baby a ufi any assassin e wo no ne rights a obetimi nya fi then your common law freehold no as interest a obenya e ya afebo no ehia se obefi place no per se but say uye nipa na ode ma wo no obeya ahemfo anase obeya ebusua ankrankran bi ode ma wo so you can get a freehold customary freehold leasehold interest ye be ma wo asase we hanom na ehia pa na fi say asase e wo dodo na wo Ghana ha no because of imra rules e wo asase ma ho no ye nyina ya ne ye wo no for ye kase for a number of years you won't say yama asase obehu say ye the amount for 50 years ye the amount for 70 years ye the amount for 20 years ye the amount for 99 years and no dodo na it ye koto asase e won't say ye be kase oh asase we dey media mato ampa wato eye odia nanso eye omre bi a ye de amaw a asase ne ye odia se samre ni twemu a ese wo saa dane wachi ekoma nipa na ode mawo anase na sefo omo na ombehwe na omo asan mawo yes bro intino eye a enkofo timi ko ebiom sebi omo ewu na omo eja asase ama omo mba omeba no na omo baba bebisa ase ne aka twem so oh asase we de papa nyaaye no emre na ye de man etwem no see David be enya sa me hono na me papa ti me papa dia ti ene dia eye because omo anhwe mfidodo a afidodo a omo de ma mo papa nom ansa na omo de ma omo as ye ka ye customary tenancy ebunu ebusa system ne sa ne ama no ye wo those kind of tenancy ene ye wo mineral licenses nkofo mo ye licenses mineral mining ne ade Elder Peter start here no ochre en say na mra bebre wo ho a govern land administration wo country mra bebre na mra ne dodo na start fi pre-colonial un say abrofo no wo ha no mo ma ye mra bi ye baji independence 19 62, 63, 60. Yebe na bet last law omo ye pa emra 1986 land registration law. It say that time etwim new things about technology about enyama sesa enyama na ye nim se wo ho no te sia aba nti no na ehia se ye beti ase na yakọ in a new direction a ye benya new law nti no ohwe law ni mu a section 282 no ye beka se e repeal a cancel sa laws ni nyina ama sa 1036 we abedane ye beka the principal law for land administration in this country. Now laws you know ye beka there are 12 and you kind of 12 and a portion of another into 12 laws. Ye was our laws na sinina and yet to say endimu biomu edimu now so from December 2020 yentimi fa sam ran enye adwuma bio into going forward no this new act in the adwuma now so niema ye was our act na ase no still edimu because onomo ye valid laws at that time and then enti into no behu land registration act ubehu land title registration law ubehu all those laws ni nyina no ye twem sese a opesa wo ye bibia emra sese wo hwe kire no act 1036 nti no emra ne baaye no ebu hia se bebo hu dehoro ni yakochima kakra last 2 weeks enye emra ne nye lands commission emra ye nyina ye emra but because lands commission ye constitutional body omo hwe assase registration no Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources ye ne madam ministry nti no omo afa to omo say ye aproye ne sorry ne ahemfo ye national symposium edi hu kita ho so that ye nyina ye bete emra na ase ne ye timidia ye adwuma nti me ka say ene no ye one of such opportunities say ye ne SDR sorry so beba be ebo sa emra no ho nkomo nti no say yesu ni na so afọ no nti ye we wie sesi a na che say munyina mo abeda ne disciples of the land act ti mudu bebi a munim mmra no munim de ka ho at least the basic things about the law obetimi hu na mo ate ase so me komra ni mo ankasa me ka say freehold customary freehold ye be mo asase no asase ne de ma wa afebo it's the mawa limit bien ni ho imra way in section 9 ekase te si ade ebusua intimi nye saabio you can't get a freehold so now say family oni asase a omuntimi ma o freehold bi ombet esomo ma o lease for a number of years na abotaya etachire ni se wo asase ye busua de anase wo asase ye akonwade which is two land there from 1969 your constitution ejai sande ne but ebusuan asase ne there ye enjai but now imrawe kire say ebusuan na ye akonwa asase a na ahefo asase a ubetimi ama obi for a number of years because sa akonwa no na asefo beba intinu say ode mankrofo freeholder ebedu bebi no na akonwa ne eni asase bio so the whole idea is say ebusua de dia and yen jai ne farmer for a number of years na echirimba no nso entimi enya profits out of asase so section 9 no oko section 117 a wo hu say sakumo no amowo yi no TDC na ehwe so nti wo hu say organized wo hu say asori asase wo ha we were but ukoton asase wo areas bi obo hu say wasase ni a echiria na disco bi na gina ho no anaje obeda no na obi bonwum a na disturb o ne ade enye the best planning is very an integral part of land administration ohwa intino section 119 no share assemblies ni na the responsibility say once you pass a law way in 2020 obian fa ni layout ni municipal layouts imbra na intisesi a ye register asase amawa it's important say ye be hwe say asase na wato no say opese odisi residential building na e yam pass layout no e pene say obetimi aye residential building or ho for stool land na ye dedaada pasisi ade Mrana yama yeyema asasi nyina. Government land na yeye, but for family land and individual land na ye nhwe ne sa. Nti betimi wo say asasi bi oha na ye school park, e bi a park nkofo bobo. Ubetwa wani ubeba next time no na yasati sin dai wo go post na chi kakra. Wani beti wo no na go post na yetu no. Next time be ho no na center park na dan si wo, be corner park na asa. But it's not the best because ye hia sa uses ni nyina in places so that e betimi serve ye nyina ye interest. So now planning is an integral part. In fact, the Land Use and Spatial Planning Law 2016 Act 925 Section 97 and so 18 say now registration and planning have become almost married as one. It is here there say what asase now be assembly ni wa. It's important to go and check and see say as I say person be this seed dying na say ya mo say Ramsey site na en fi hanom ya aban ko bubu ndan bi wo ho. It's for a particular purpose. That land was reserved for migratory birds. Kofa kokoto nsase wo ho. Omo an check it. And now, see, the akasi ye reclaiming in Saseno. So, section 270 no, has to do mainly with what we call divesting. Near what category of land be a you find a public land, but I say a buying a ama a handful. So, a buying a debema, but and who profits ni na no, ebe ko a handful. Na agitations be aba a handful. There's no need for you to look after a media. Una wodema, una oma me home faso. And the sound farmer me na me hwe ma de so e. But san sase no aban ye ne sa because of various reasons. Ebi ni say na ebi eko e wo places. Ebi wo ho planning purposes na omo person mo ma sa place no ye orderly kakra. But ahemfo no so argument ni say sesi ade say ye ku bi asesi a ye nku bi o. Nti wo de fa ya ade man yan ye betinya hwe ya ade so. But yehwe mrane mu no mrane ka say lands commission say set up committee na ye quality views na yetu abanfo yes our coalition of view who say some of the problems no enkoy obefu say but enkoy ohwe ase na problem no gusu wo ho inti no lands commission be to abanfo the aban be kan bia no will go in that direction inti no that's for divesting 270. I've spoken about section 9.2. Yes, I said what say was section 9. They say see the ukoto family land. May feel say bit me about conveyance, which is a freeholder. Unsabeka asaseno till eternity. No, yaobenye biano it will have a limitation for a period. Now so say unsa kan ye before act we ba na ye fully executed act we enye retrospective. Inti no se wutimi uye bibia by 2020 23rd December dia that instrument is valid, but after 2020 December 23rd no, it will not be a valid means of grant anymore. So that's what you should understand. Section 12 ne de ya na ye no ye ntro act nim say against land guardism, but ohwe enyama na ewo mu na is pointing to the fact say see ade say wo asase wa asase na wo interest wo mu a you have every legitimate right to protect it. Now so say obi die na wo ko na wo share kire na wo ka che ko masa mo nkoko ye si o langard mo nkoko gina asase no so na monye basabasa wo a wo suma wo mu no ni omo ko ye say tutu asem no say imra so mu na ye de wo court na ye find you guilty a between 5 and 15 years, with me jail. This is the strongest provision against land and interruption with interest over this country. Because ya nyene sana na I do baby, especially Accra away. It must say what was say. Why you be kakra was so before Beka Jack no be a baby bubu no na it will trust some mudi to abasoni ade. This provision is to prevent that kind of behavior of people. Say mransa so mo you can go to jail from between 5 to 15 years. Section 14, you can 13 all the way to 18. Our acting, but I'll emphasize section 14. This has to do with the final establishment of customary land secretariat. So more ha moye ebusuan penyin no more places or more granting moye ohene wo baabi you have that authority over customary land. See, an emrana kase. Moi, it's a munya what I nickname mo small land secretariat, mo small customary secretariat. Bia mo honoma assassina mo de ma assassina na mo record. Nipa mo de amanu no munim. Se oton amu bi a obesa ba mo ho na mo record. It's very important because a bridge gap no between Lands Commission any more assassin. Pendo do no bon say ohene bi wo ho wa inherit if your ohene foforo ho onim dia ne predecessor ne ye no no so this assassin akoma because he see dan bia wo so next moment na obi aba oh misumi kura document o it when is supposed to prevent that kind of behavior musumu wo mo secretariat ho dia mo ma no mo record it so that next time no mo amfa assassin na ama obi foforo. So that's what section 14 says. Section 38 and 47 there eya na mbeka ho sema na mbane ni age na mbema na hweme omde omani akiri hweme but enye emra eye for omane nkwa because ye mbema no so ye be benefit efim the kire se wo ware a the auto asase after time a waware no asase bia obeto bia no it is presumed ye kan bo ombremu se mbra no hwe se eye wo ne oyere dia se ni din ni so kra anase uni ukunu dia it doesn't ehia se ni din be wo in kata na so ye hia se oto asase no after time amoware ye nti ekunu num na omode enyama si omoyere num no se si amra no aso mu oyere num na eya na omotai ka se ye wo kwa aware dia unsa ka dia ye onkwa wo dia no wo so no ukunu edin wo nti enye imane nkwa dia imane bo musebi wo mi se mbema ne taito imane bo musebi Elder Peter oyi na we chiri ho no so obo ni same dinde ne intino se si ane de but ye ka won brem se e presumption intino se ya de a auto before wo ware dia emra no affect say achede a obi ye ka say gift no be the mawa then you can say gifts no the intention was to only you not to your spouse if a gift not what to if a year now so I keep emphasizing say a presumption because say ultimate to assassin ultimate prove say ebi ebi no ho no ma o ware ya na nekunu ekọ abrochiri o Ghana ha na ono a sweat and toil onti nipa ne nka onye bibia e na oto assassin no afa die asase ba ya nipa ne na wa be fie o kase wo atene ye mienu nyina ye dia se o dispute se enye ye mienu de a o metimi akọ court na hwehwe mu ahwe se was the intention and the sweat and was the intention say ye mienu nyina ye dia if you also intend say enye mu mienu mu dia ye betimi dia hye nkrata ne musa na so mi hu oyere a obe ana okunu obe ma ne yere kwan se ye nyina ye bobra ye kobe udi e mamentro wasa nkrata nim say ye wonkwan wo dia ebia nkofo bi be ye because omodwen ebusua asem say ba ko ni ho no mo chena but that is the general advice I have to give about spousal property the law. As we say oye ufi baby as me describe here usufructuary interest ufi baby na oye beneficiary of land ewo ho based on the fact say udom sa ebusua na say sa area na se o hwa asase so na ohene no pese ode mo obi a ese se oba wo ho ontimi mfa wachi sa mfa mo obi sa keke so me na me ye ohene no me da bi se si ade ese se obisa wo nipa na oye usufruct no and we no na esi pen ama akokota ama court na decide say the fact say we usufruct no awu fi sa area no se wo unsa wo da asase bi so a wo tumi wo sa asase no so eno nkyere say uni tumi bia wo so say basa ohene no pese ode mo bia he needs your consent say oti ase a you have to have a compensation for that untimi njena grass akeke there must be some reward for that grant. Section 57 kasa about you kind of re-entry mo obi a nkofo amato asase wo hadodo na mo behu say mutimi to asase no what kind document wo say bebia be kasa wo 2 years time na ese wo sidan e was asase no so ana say se oye bibi se ba se wanye sa na eya na ye nkofo bibia adwen ne say once awonye apabo se na ohene na asa ba asase no so massage ma de there be enya sa na mmara ne kire se wo pese wo re-enter what we call re-entry or forfeiture e wo ways as say wo call one of the ways is say wo call court so that mmara ne be hwɛ mu ansana because before obeji asase no ye ka say it is a breach as so ma notice say oh asase we make catch say 2 years see na won see hwe as so ma kwan na utimi remedy sa breach no na wo ye ho bibi ansana waba we nya te say oteta mmara no so ya pɛ no afa mmara no abefa asase ne da bi ɛsɛ otimi ema notice na otimi ye. Section 62 is about say onipa say odanu that consent say ebia ukọ some train na uja asase ma omba oyere ni ade a first no na obeye registration na koye process na ya na ye jew sika bi but say amra na ka say ene de enya ade a wenya sika efim inti no ma ye njemu sika pudo sika na ese eje no it has to be what we call just administrative fees inti no so that ebetimi protect the transfer between spouses beneficiaries of an estate. Section 98, and yes, Section 98 in Kwan, okay, many sections were running a kasa about alternative dispute resolution, which is say a seminal, ye bet na se na ya hwesi ye bit niaka ansana odiako court. Intino asore kra okunu ni yere kra se bibisia ya ne ye kasa omu de mumbra na we yentena se ne yembo ho nkomo hwe. It's all trying to discuss and resolve the issue. Oko land court na obu say cases bebre wo ho inyina ya asase ho manso. Inti mra we hwe say it's important say ye betimi I try say ye beka ho asem either through arbitration, negotiation, customary arbitration, mediation. So be betena no aka say oh asase we ohini we na de ma o ono na de ma me eyampa ai time be no de odi ma o time we no de ma o nti uti ase say odi kan de ma we ansa na de ma o nye nche say ehunye tumi na de ma o nti no ye ntwen ye fa we ma no ye nko ohene ne ho na obehwe alternative amo a no wa ye ansa na ye dispute na ye de court nti a big church like this will have people with that expertise and we encourage says yeah ba asase same one. The first point of call should be seeking alternative dispute resolution as a means of resolving the matter rather than going. Ohwem manimu a ya ye juma wo lands commission near there they also call the registries. E ma omu tumi bi a omu betimi ahwehwe nkrata na odi abanimu. For instance, our asemu a mekan yi. Se mehwe Elder David na mehwe nanim na mehwe ne nsa na mu se ring hye ne nsa. Metimi bisa say minua o mehwe wa o ware ya cha na o si o me ware ya che so fine pa na afi be na ware o si o 2020 so fine na o to asase no 2021 wo ho ende we die em say ye wo ne o yere dia nti no de o beton a mehia o yere consent. It gives us some power to be able to make those inquiries to protect and to help the spouse. It's your year no so ba na me hwe no na me Mr. Denu nche say mo ba ye ho na mo yi mo ring na mo de si o. Mo ba we have the authority to do the reasonable inquiries about it. Section 130 222. We hu say lands for ya ejuma or lands no. Ya na ye ka say ye ba sorry I say ye mpa ebomu ye din because ya na nkofo feel say ye de ya na ye no credit no e wa chire kakra. Enye sa ejuma no ho pressure ne ade up and down intino imra no ahwe say obema yen ye ka say time intino say oba na opese ohwe nkrata mu because opese oto asase a imra ne say 14 days within 14 days e say etimi ma o results ama a reasonable time eno nkyere say obia de be 14 days but imra no astarte hye time sa ebetimi ama yen aye ejuma in term akọ ohwe section 104 so a registration is within 90 days. I see it me real registration. That is if they are in krata now they buy no be di mo. It is a wa krata now they ban no say e ho problems there and the TRC say sa conditions we are yame. Untimi enjoy of it. Say yes all the registration but na yentimi nyama wa and man direct say ye ma notice reasons in tia registration, as we say, the right to refuse and then the reasons. makasa about section 117 dada the way are planning any registration nyinaa bɛyɛ baako so yɛtiminya integrated system a na nka wobɛyɛ registration a you should be able to quickly check with the assembly if saa asase no yɛ zoning no for residential anaasɛ for church anaasɛ for way nti yɛ sometimes yɛyɛ adwuma mu no wetumi aba sɛ wobɛyɛ registration na yɛdu baabi ne aka kyerɛ so wei deɛ ntumi nyɛ ma wo ɛfiri sɛ assembly no say saa asase no ɔmo reserve no for maybe a green area anaasɛ for playground so now wotɔ asase a ɛsɛ you always have to keep in mind say planning no yɛ very important aspect of it makasa about aban asase a aban betumi de ne nsa ato so sɛ wɔ asase wɔ baabi na aban de ne nsa bɛto so a wo na wɔ hɔ no untimi necessarily prevent aban sɛ da bi me mpene wo because ohwɛ akosombo dam yɛ wɔ hɔ ya nkɔfo asase na aban de ne nsa to so a yɛ nyinaa yɛ benefit ohwɛ airport yɛ a yɛ nyinaa yɛ tu kwan yɛ ba besi a obi asase na yɛde yɛn nsa to so a ɛsɛ bi yɛ nyinaa nti aban wɔ tumi wɔ mmerɛ mu a betumi aka sɛ wo area wei deɛ mepɛ sɛ mede me nsa to so nanso wo a wasase a yɛagye no yɛntimi ngye no kwasaa yɛgye a aban de ne nsa to so a yɛka sɛ you have a right to compensation wobɛtumi yɛbɛsense asase no ɛbo a yɛde bɛbɔ bɛto so ne aka sɛ okay yɛbɛma wo sika wei for aban no asase no a ɔgye afi wo nsɛm nti no ɛnyɛ te sɛ aban de ne nsa to so a wahwere wo bibia nanso sɛ ɔde ne nsa to so a within 6 months of publication of the executive instrument yɛ kan ɛsɛ wode wo claim ɛto hɔ ɛsɛ ɔka sɛ wo mewɔ interest wɔ asase no nti na ɛyɛ important sɛ wobɛyɛ registration of wɔ asase no because sɛ aban de ne nsa ato so a then na gyina mu sɛ asase no yɛ wo dea is one of the questions that government is going to ask you before compensation pay as me kan no mmara no wɔ offenses bebree ebi yɛ yɛn a yɛyɛ adwuma wɔ aban asoafo no sɛ wokɔ dane obi nkrataa ni na yɛn nsa kawa you must know sɛ mmara betimi aso let the little children come on to us nti no mmara no betimi nti no offenses no we list them a lot of them makasa about land guard deɛ no sɛ aban ma obi kɔyɛ survey na ode unsa section 27 and 28 ode unsa kɔsɛe sɛ pillars no sɛ we a mmara nsa betimi aka wo sɛ woyɛ lands officer woyɛ adwuma na wode unsa kɔdane records na ni feel sɛ wopɛ sɛ wogye obi deɛ de ma obi a tie nsa ka ho a you can go to jail for that. There are many things that you can be able to go to jail for. As I said, say uni to me was assessed. So one of them, for instance, section 72, say to say okunu as me kan no yere and a one kan train say yere ye bisa wo na wo si o mi ne yere but yere and a wo fa eche de ton asasena your friend of fraudulent concealment wo di bibie sie ansa na oye ho adwuma nti eno kra so no etimi turn you over to the police na oban sankawa then you will be liable for it. Section 102 say asase so beyond some size to say aban no eche say omo ma wo nye no registration no yentimi nye no yenka say yen aye officers no yen kwan yentimi nye as say your board aye commission no getting involved in that decision making process. Into for instance for a residential plot 4 hectares is the maximum. For all other uses 20 hectares because we say agriculture near the idea so. Until once all the registration bar, then the responsibility of lands commission will be to go through a process. One of the processes may be community engagement because as I said so you want to be sure say if a coin pass on the edema obi otherwise or any no take on a bina or sign here yes you better register later it will not be beneficial to the larger group. So imrana ya passing the law is one thing. The nitty-gritties of the way I betimi are ebema law na aye adwuma no what we call the legislative instruments no ye nyam pass yet but government is working with some consultants see ebeye eno na betre the details of inyeme bi say for instance ye ka say we husband what do we need to check from you, sir Oba, so that ye ma obi liberty, say obi ware customary marriage, for instance. What do you need as evidence of the marriage? Because to say court marriage obi timidi certificate amount if it is not registered. And you may be I see a call with details so that a beg guide in what we must request and what we shouldn't request. But Yamiadum Oma procure consultants, like for instance, customary land secretariats, even though the law says there will be a customary secretary, it doesn't say the details of how and they should operate. So ebe here said there will be the details of what to do. They report every 2 months or 3 months. How does the reporting work? Na yenya guidelines are guiding in terms of doing it. Finally, ebe here says, so this one is to say some of the suggestions I acted about the way with the details will be. Would it be important, say, for instance, customary land secretariat, lands commission, officer of administrator of 2 lands, they put 2 officers on the customary land secretary in a district so that they can be consulting and helping them on the roadmap to be able to establish, for instance. If we come to the allies, give us the details. Maybe I may do is showing a few provisions that were teased out. You bet me you can say so that Obekai in Tinoba Lands Commission now say section 62 ya marking section 14 ya can ya summarizing or kitwe be so that you can look at it and have an understanding of what will be. So this one we've looked at some of the sections 14, 277, I think 62, and some of the provisions are yet teasing out. You bet me I'm aware. Maybe I may do say there. We've discussed the act largely, but if you don't understand why you need the act, not the American abstract. So with the small pictures of what you look out for if you wanted to buy land, for instance. Yaka site plan wasem, and no picture na media to ho ama mosisia no. Nankophobia no moye registration in the past. That's why me yellow card when he ever Greater Accra. It has to do with yes submission. But Enokra assessor from 2016 and was assigned to a slip, some form of some small paper be a better. Again, details of when you submitted and all that. So we need yellow card. So we call other regions now land title registration in the Honoma. You are scanning an example of how the final document will look like. Most the stamps be way tree and no certificates the way you would see in Accra, but Sauba Accra, a land title certificate is what you see, which I have put across there. So I end with a few questions. Adena, what are we trying to do? We are trying to help you understand. Say, so it's important to register it. It's important to know the rules that govern the grant so that you can avoid some things. So register wasasia. Litigation, a money brass, obi be searcher, obi who say, Udin wo ho. So we are a man who ankasa no unim say, wo paper bia ubetimi gyina so. Most of the time, you better we need the document na say pass it. Gidi start here, afen ye kokohwe paper no aba no. Ebi obeba no na nipa na one na twema nso no. Obetwem aba no registration dada. Then now you are struggling with it. It makes future transfer. So china uni ho na wo mba person mo ye transfer. It makes it easier. It makes it less complex. And it enables you, unipano, so person your business now, person koji loans now, you have the right documentation to go. And finally, it's useful information for professionals. So you're a lawyer, you're a valuer, one of the first questions you ask is, where is your document? And it's easy for you to make provision for it. So on this note, Maranatha 3 times now, but thank you very much for the opportunity. Major questions, kakra na answer na makomida mwase.
Yo Timothy, that's it. Wakani na mrana fa sase ho. Say na my wife for born in sempa. The man bi so aka no ho, no so bom sempa. Because how did they come out more? Omun is almost the party no more no. Omo anfa eli anka ho a. Yeso ebekwama ye. E man na mo ne mo amode ahyehyɛ. Hom pass no. Emra no chimo na be hu ye be hu. Yo, Timothy, that's it. I feel questions. And so, as soon as people, sure say you have a lot of questions, but I will take 3 at a time. Yeah, and say we are, nothing, I've heard the next batch. I think you can handle 3. So, beginning from here, I'll go this way. 1, and there's 1 penny, and the entry. Unia, the question is, you confirm me a Buana Mayena.
Pacho, me pese mi bisa se ye registration a se ne wadi kan aka no se eboa asase no ho ban na se wo ye registration wi a ese se nipa foforo so san register the same asase na me mase mi se di kan no me ko menim se barcode metumi aka ho asem a se barcode no se ye barcode a ye nipa foforo tumi san ye bi at the same land no a with 2 questions.
Ada.
Elder, I'm say, and say, in this new dispensation, can somebody alter my documents at Lands? Obi betimi asesano ama akoye obi foforo de ana koku ananse sane manamano. Titi hone wo ba menim se edaso wo ho a. Na fe, is this act operational? Because I heard you talking about consultant working on some aspects of it. Eye adwuma na mahu se mo se nimdi fobi eye adwuma e wo ho. Tibese mahu se eye adwuma. Thank you. I'm saying this because o kan bibi se asase bi wo ho a ebro 20 hectares and the registration asem wo ho entina mebusa no. Thank you.
Which they must say, Semi-wari ansa na meto asase a asase no ye me ne me yere dia. Ibisa se ko ba se imu ba ko efiri mu a abusuafo no ba betumi aba be claim asase ne bi. What you say?
You when you man answer 3 questions now. Then we take the next batch.
Pacho, let's start it from this side. 2 questions on so register. Who register? So tomo be a so no so be register. Inti we so be transfer amani pano. So china ichi uni honoma omba betimi register. That's if it is from you. But once who are register sa asase no, it's not possible say obi fufuro be register sa same asase no. That is how it works. So who are register, it is in your name. So the mo bi na osa the mo bi ana say ochina the ma omba. They will also have to do a transfer of interest. But obi fufuro intimi me register sa same asase no. And na barcode no me try mo o hwe me presentation na me try a picture of the site plan. A site plan na ye nim fitititi na nothing has changed. Only that around 2015 and now technology has gone ahead. What it means is that site plan na ye be approved by the director of surveys no. To say oko shop na oko to ade won say na code bi wo products ne ho. O scan na price na ba ne ade. Is it the same feature aye the aka site plan ne ho. Then no your site plan pet na wo ye eno nye registration. It is asase na nipa 20 betimi aye ho site plan. A plan ne keke e wa asase so eno no nye registration. Inti obeti na obi aka say o maye barcode inti no maye bibia onye bibia. It's just plan na wa ye e wo asase so that's the understanding. Elder, o question no was in twofold. Tete na wo ka say still kra na nkofo timi hwe so metimi adane ade ni no. And said that easy sao. Ya ko ejmo lands commission sa uye na abansa so mu. It is one of the fastest ways of exiting the place and going to jail. In fact, yenya impenyin form ni ye ejuma altering the record and said that easy sa because ye ejuma no enye nipa ba ko ejuma. Inti no this we ye nipa 9 enum wetimi abosa remove because oh yeah obi beye ho ejuma obi beye bibi obi beye bibi. It is always not been easy. But what this law has done is that ama naye now a crime under the law. Intino se wensa so umwa. I think you can go to jail from between either fined or between 0 to 2 years or so. You may go to jail. Intino, that's what it is. Your other question was with the law. One law was passed on 23rd December. The law was operational. But there are aspects of the law here guidelines as a can legislative instruments. So I know guidelines na ye juma. But the law it's been in place and it's the one that is binding us. So for instance, size let's say Oma 20 acres plus now. Maybe an airline will give you the nitty-gritties. You do public education, maybe at the assembly. So you 3 times. That's what the airlines would bring out for us. The last question was on marriage. Maybe say my correction. Be say before worry now. Sorry.
Enti fancy be the more than the 20 hectares.
Yes.
Guideline. No?
Yes. So the commission has in its discretion.
Okay.
Some what we call large scale. Near policy be wo. Our policy no your guidelines are you see kakra but only that it's not put into legislative instrument. Into your guidelines are the data first year publish our assembly. So we use those guidelines until such a time where the legislative instrument for marriage. If you had it before, worry no dear, your personal property. So dear, ebusuane dear, I borrowed the words of Professor Mensah Bones. So uko unsame china wa anya wela. Then you've left the state to manage your affairs for you. And uche PNDC law 111 nimwa. A mano ye complex kakra because your wife, spouse is there, your children are there. Your parents are there before your family is there. But a hierarchy of how you benefit. So I don't want to answer a yes or no. Assuming who wants to say 10, for instance, your spouse may get baby or water. Your children may get some. Your parents, if they are alive, may get some, and your family. Pastor Oya Owela, Obi eni hu asem ka. You leave it for your wife or your children or whoever you wish. And the family has no say in your property.
Maybe that say assassin say your worry and son made to assassin obeying in idea.
Yes.
Nekobase baku free one. The way film nebusia for bit me say o ma be claim portion na
so metiasie say wo ye wela ube Williama oyere anawomba o portion e wa asase mind you own it jointly mumienu na de na yemodia even though you own it jointly o chefa wom oyere chefa wom. You understand what I'm saying? So if you don't do a will, even though you own it jointly, obi betimi be argument say me ukunu no oye busia of yebusuem when ja will bia yeso ye wo chefa was our property. So to avoid it, the fact that mumienu mu atono doesn't mean it's for you absolutely because of the thinking that you may be able to share in the property. So I always say, Adia nipa mienu only dear. Be clear in your mind. I recently made a will, Mama down for me. All he did was just to write a simple thing. All my property, I mean, will be ano. BBC, mi jama member. So his portion is for his children. Even though documents on any year sign you in his will, it was simple. I leave it for if I die today, everything goes to my children. My portion of the estate. My wife's portion there, she has it. In Kolana uncle, in Shesoma Omo, till such a time that they are 24 years. Simple matter. It's a bushani to me fetch remember me gidi bia. My who wills from Crawford Makase, me jai di bia ma me yere. I leave everything for my wife to hold in trust for my children. So that seneye no kowari obi fufroa in Kolani benya chefa ewom. Obetimi aka say I leave it for my wife absolutely. That means a yere no a choice. The other reverse is possible. A yere no betimi jam say I leave it for my husband. or I leave it for my husband and the children. So whichever way it is, I say owning property there, you have to make sure say we put steps in place that interest no be catered for. Yes.
About the next batch of opening and then 1, 2 ladies first, Mami Kochi then 3. But more other question or kind no, so one Sunday about 4 minutes starting a war in Baka. Say intimacy. But if you are not main control that day, it happened to me. Me and Kasam it happened to me. If you are meeting or committee 18, me and me fear meeting. We took free TDC or magic crata with TDC. My register document no lands. But me nyanya land title. One day I was there and I had a call from my own uncle. And Madam Okechi. Where you of a bank, maybe a bank in legal department. I was there and then he called me and told me, said, someone is using my document, a land title certificate. And to me say, my bank was a loan and I'm saying, me, that bank and me call us a loan. But then somebody had presented your land title certificate, bury your name, Peter Osewusu, trying to mortgage your property. Don't believe it. What they might be fear me timino, why land title, fake one. I shall, when you be a 7 year more land, Sabaka say, authentic. How would they call you loan? And the Yamia Mwame, Amma, Nipana or what legal departments, one quiet, me offer payment. And I will nimua or frame me bomber mania, and come to one, obedient must be Diana Kodidebe loan. So quickly, I did a search at the Lands Commission. Which, unfortunately for me, no loan, a young go through. And all the loans, so they give you a mortgage document. I'll be balance, Aquaco register. Quickly, and I may catch a price. No, you should hold on one checking my money because my here, I never myself. We saw a bank and say, I don't know it me, yes, I won't say it me happen. Now, what they do is say, a bar, they deal with it internally. Because the public no gets to know, say, bank and be a sign of ACWA, you public panic. Or we are now and conform until it happens. Until yet, you was a senior register at least once a while. I mean, every year, Biano, I check with the Lands Commission, say, my sas na my register a crata da hono. Bia okay, mortgage bia Emma Hua will be adequate loan. This is what happens. Until in free Lands Commission. But this is what some people in this country are doing. And you're very careful. I feel the next batch. Ose. Hello. Menkoye. That's no way a fake. Who check a land title honor. You submitted title be our here. You land title because I have not done so. Until one. Any man does make us a car. You know, Kaswa, they have a Lands Commission there. They forge my signature. They forge my board chairman's signature. You go there, they can register land for you there. Our Kaswa. Our Ukra document. So I may search your Lands Commissioner. Ube hold document, say or register, but I register. That is it. It happens. It's just that we have to be careful. I feel next batch of questions. Guru boys, and one. Obani, one microphone over me.
I don't can solve for Baba.
Obano, sorry, Obano, sorry.
Pacho, if I say, Mina now, as I say, and now a buying beje, maybe PWD or something of that sort, that time. And on my number of years, the work is not going on now, and people are encroaching. Or more, as you see, or more containers near my also. O call land commission, almost say time so they can't give it back to you. In this case, no. May anything.
Second one, I think I saw a hand here. Uh-huh.
But you make me a question, but me no answer. First one, a registration, you know. What's according to the act, may say your best 90 days to get it done. Now, me the this 7 years here. How do you treat it? Probably be a point we will talk on the side. Now, say first registration, yeah, the amount now 7 years, not still you are unable to do it. Last, you'll be crowd the occasion on official search, say, be any crata so. It means run is canon official search, mammy. You could two crata who here say a cadastra, far and swakatema, any other. So, why all these things? Do we speak the same language? And I say, you were the war acting, and I were the war on the ground, so that we know how to deal with it. That is my first question. Second question, assignment. What does the law talk about the assignment? Say, land, you know, for instance, TD, Aton as their mobi. Then that person, you also buy from that person. At the end, we have to do that re-registration, BM, then transfer of the ownership, for the unutilized amount of the lease period. Now what was so? This is here, then it goes back to the original owner. Now say what to be no person will sign registration na why year. And also saying na emranoka efa. And then the last one on the ADR. How do we take advantage of the ADR system so that we was same way be a yanko high who court to near the so that we know say okay there's a dex here BBCS no ye bar ye bit me yama resolution abantem because said the chromosia no obia anytime me wan so say ujai emutu on so anedo se kan so ye den edwananka and because of that in Kofon so far afasha why den are crackers and they are cheating a lot of people in the system. How do we take advantage of this ADR situation? Said they be boy na with us.
Opani, also be open jam sir. Ana e wa hamum. Oh, okay.
Pastor, maybe they may ballet kakra meaning se bia oka ho asemo a lease no na time land owner ne de ma no 49 na 99 no pato sese no emra no sese de na emra ne ka ho 99 na 59 na 49 two after 49 na 99 no what next obetima ba say time na so meji ma de na yen renew na ana after I started my registration before 2020 lawyer working who asked me. But do by me nyanru lands where my finalize. Now my start here. So I knew you know affect me and I said meet my twaso dada no ana edas.
Okay, so no say we don't.
Okay, so let's start the first one, compensation issue. A binding in Satu Asaseswa. 90% of the time, no, I was careful to say even 100%. And yet for a term of years, a year, perpetual, or the Nesatu so waje. A year na for a rare cases, for instance, in Accra, leasehold ordinance, there was rare cases, but almost all the time, na binding in Satu Asaseswa. It is not for a term of years. It's for perpetual. It's Pajose. Yes, so if it is for a term of years, until the years expire, the government has the control of it. Yanka say control of it. So encroachment now uhuna eha no. As I say eha abain rather, not you. because your period will pass, and all those encroachers, what you call encroachers, may become your tenants, because if a government doesn't own it, then it reverts to you, or government comes to renew from you. So a bit me just your concern that you may establish, but unfortunately, the control will be in government's hand at such a time that the time passes. So that's the advice for that.
No,
because onu only rights was asene so no. Eya bind the honest. A bind say yes edwuma no.
Aha, the be person be kyerɛ ne say.
Yes.
Omo di containers akosisi dada no. Untimi nkoye hwe mfa ho, just aban.
Yes.
Say wo di wani to ho na aban nkoye hwe wan. Na so di containers ni bi akosi obi.
Wait,
na wo nyina ma ye we.
We street advice. Practical advice. So that's the what I can say about that. Yes.
Finally, if it reverts
back to
her,
them, yes.
Yes.
Can
it become hers?
No, it will, the interest, so they will come to her. What the government give to them, like you're about to answer the question now. We will know what happens when the period expires. What becomes of it? Because in her case, government has it maybe for 50 years. Yes. Whatever government does with it for 50 years, after the 50 years passes, either government goes to her to renew its interest, to deal with the people on the land, or government decides that many interest, then it's offloading its tenants to her.
Back to her.
And they become her tenants now.
Yes. Government.
Yes.
And so if it is coming to her,
yes.
Yes.
No, and the beginning, no make sure definition of land. First slide, no. Okay, say me catch up say when we live here now, the land is the definition of land is what is guiding us. Into Timika so man assassin, into your man assassin. What is now the land is both the bare land and what is on it. So that's what becomes her responsibility. So up to a reasonable height, yes. A reasonable height, yes. So that is it. About 3 questions, 7 years and now. So as I said, this law is a reaction from problems Sayaye who said our land administration for a long time. That is why in 2020, this law introduced a time limit for registration if you have your document meets all requirements. Before this law, all the previous laws didn't set a time limit for registration if you met all the rights. So from 2020 going forward, that's where the time limit of the 90 days has been introduced. Before then, there was no time limit. So you will understand that some people here have done their registrations quicker. Some have taken time. And usually, it's a question where I'm very careful not to judge the institution because we don't know what the complexities of that area and that registration is. The problem Lands Commission may have is communicating to you quickly on time. Like all other agencies, we have a challenge with sometimes communication. But sometimes people have met me or mama ne yellow card or something. Oh, ache ubeko no emano. 5 years ago, address na ye troye no. It was somebody who wrote the address there, and the communication was by letter. It will be for file. You say letter na so, but a court to baby cry, so you don't know what is happening. You assume that ache, and it's the way we communicate now with phones and all that. It may improve, and now that the law has given us a time limit, now at the Lands Commission, so or the registration body, so it would improve going forward, I believe. But I'm sure that you are talking also about Tema, and your registration is in Tema. So we'll take it and see what we can do in order to follow it up. Your third one was ADR. Your second one was about something. ADR. So the ADR, that is what I said, the legislative instruments. In fact, high courts are, there's a whole ADR department there that the judges refer matters to. And this started 2010. So now what Lands Commission is also going to do once the LIs are out is that, for instance, what by registration? In the process of registration, they who say, wasaseno kakre bi affected obidie or there's a boundary. Rather than leave you people to go and litigate over it, they will say, oh, both of you should come. Yeah, inspection. Okay. We know it's just maybe the shape of the wall. Let's agree. So if we agree, then it becomes binding on you and the other party. It will not prevent you from going to court. Some people even after that may say that that one you cannot prevent you from doing so. But a very reduce challenges are cases. So that is how it's going to go. As time goes on, meaning said, even informally, staff of Lands Commission have always been using ADR. Only that it was not a formalized way. No problem. Oh, yentenase, yenka. Now would have rules where you know that it's a fair hearing. You agree or disagree, and then put your hand under, and then it will go that way. Yes, so the assignment. So when you buy land, you would have to transfer it by all means. So you use TDC, for example. Say TDC did not cinema Elder Peter. In its records, Elder Peter and a say Elder Peter, say Odebema Elder Davida. TDC now or your grantor, he has to know of that transaction, or else you'll be billing Elder Peter if say it's your ground rent, for instance, or show letters to Elder Peter. Mo Elder Peter, waton dada ya mobi. So the issue of consent, so section 62 of the Act talks about it. Consents and assignments and going back to the source, no, are important for record keeping and building records one over the other. So for instance, my mother has passed, Oja Sasimame. No man call back and yes, our transfer now. The people will be dealing with a diseased woman on TRC. So assignments is important that process of recording is done taking you back to the original grantor to get the consent. So usually, now that customary land secretariats will come, it will be the feature of every grant. You have to go back, tell them that, oh, Matawama, Mr. X, so that their records can be built. Otherwise, in fact, I know areas where Usi Diana Biaba, for instance, TDC, the records more, and what are you doing there? Because you didn't bring the assignments for a recording. So government land says, you better call here command ground rent. You better call Mr. Bedi. You see, oh, Mr. Bedi, oh, fee hanyene. Watonwa Mr. J Rimba, you see, and the team. Then now you have to build the records that way, so that every time you are up to date with the client that is on the parcel of land. So long. Yes, so it is simple. For instance, your first registration now, now I have 7 years. The transfer process is quicker. It should be quicker. Now, for instance, TDC, because who file, like we can't find some record, and the delays. But in most cases, it shouldn't take long. I say it shouldn't, because if everything is there, the records follows, then it shouldn't. Usually, it doesn't take long. But I know that you are dealing with state institutions. So sometimes you say file na ira, yes you the BBA to her. That is why this law for searches. In fact, you mentioned searches. There's nothing like unofficial searches. You have searches back up official. But in Ghana no, you pay your uncle. It is here na mabahana. Me who happy Sabbath kana muamwa responding happy day no. O balance commission because oh me madam for her. Peter wait me check you where mami ana. So he has access to record check amount unofficially amount. Unofficially amount. Afedie, wow, he has obey bibi no now afedie obey official search. So rather than ask him to do unofficial for you, why don't you do the official search? Get your response, because it's a decision you are going to make. Afedie both say why a decision no. Now or the nano catcher me say oh, you don't have evidence even to show say this is the real records. And unofficial they make them be a umami bibi na o frame na umami pressure. Oh hello, oh okay, you're free. Because pressure, I mean check it, I mean check you. But who friend no way free. I feel now problems that he says here. Oh, when your mama may record you, but because you didn't do it official, you don't have a basis by which you can challenge. So that will be the answer. Boss, what about late kakrano? You can say list need for a time setting. Imrawe, section 50. It begins to clarify your question. Say, it is yes, need do we are, then I obey. Section 50, will say, he said, the Uya Ghanaian, whether the document said so or not, you are guaranteed a renewal. So, we are Ghanaian, you are guaranteed a renewal. If you are not a Ghanaian, we are foreigner, the document must guarantee that renewal for you. Or you can, so you, between the parties, you can just put a clause there. And we agree that upon expiration of the day, we would renew. That one, the law cannot take that right from you. But we are Ghanaian, whether the document said so or the document didn't say so, you are guaranteed a renewal. But it doesn't guarantee you a renewal for free. A renewal always comes at a cost. Because, or the assassinat for 90 years, 50 years, 20 years, it is seen as investment for which the period will end. Nipa na you will come back to, in fact, section 50 now, the only one it guarantees almost free, a customary grantor, to say ufi, mampon, and assassin war under mampon, and the amawa, and ukra for customary rights, and then free cry, it said you still have to go back and do customary rights. Intino, say time ni dua, like I was explaining anti-dieno, you have to go back to Nipanin Chirimba. It is a mena medemao, na 99 years a chiminiwa. My successors in title will be there. My children or somebody will be there. So you go back to them and say that, oh, papa my way, say I'm ready, I've come back. The law guarantees a renewal, but it doesn't guarantee it for free. So you go back and negotiate that purchase between the parties, as it were. Because so the courts will now be determining what is reasonable. Because I will mention some outrageous price so that I want to kick you out. So, but the law always has to judge what is reasonable and what is not reasonable. 20 CDs today will not be 20 CDs in 50 years' time. So the courts will begin to determine that yes, you are entitled to, but whether it is reasonable or not, the courts will determine that. So that's the advice. And yes, now there is no law in this country that determines the number of years they give to you. Yeah, I need 99 years to say a law in Rebianka, a idea abrofonu jama. It's a convention in the British system that we adopted. In fact, in my study, near Kano casually, until one day, we said, what it's not anywhere. What it is a convention. But Obiani the way of Pesoma, TDCI, Masasisi, conventionally they give 60 or 75%. That is their convention. State House, mass 60. That is their convention. Government, Bema 99 for residential, for commercial, or Bema 50. That is, and it says, I am for no, so I've seen that, Bema of 50 years, a Bema 60, it is what you agree on between the parties. Timpacho documents now, yes, sign a young kind, so that we know what we are getting into. And Sana, who say, Timpacho, Acadian. Yes, registration, the same. A better was so. Running in cancel registration. Yeah, now we that we just continue the registration process, and it won't take it away from. As me can Imrano and quite chill. A core enemy is prospective. Yeah, can it will not go back to negate things that were done or things that are being done. It will just carry on.
I think they will take the last batch of questions, but answer. The questions, no. After Nancy, search be unofficial search be Sama, sorry, baby. I want to assure you, say, what the end of Michelle. I saw about in rooms or him. What the end of Michelle, pa, my mom, and say, genuine. I feel you toss you. Mame Moa, because I'm here, Mame Moa, Mogakra. Now we'll talk about delays in 7 years. Be honest with you, a fan of moi. As I thought, yes, Sabi, sorry, I asked me to ask. Oko other jurisdiction, you engage a solicitor, a professional. The all two assassins, the all turn crown, they don't see each other. The two solicitors deal with each other. But how many Sabi, such a crown on yet. It's an office you are delays a man document delaying and say, a bebano, not cruise. And near maybe I was say a word document to lend him. So you have to call the applicant to come, correct this, do that. If you cry now oath, that's why the court now call oath on ye was submitted. If you cry now witness, nipa with the more dance here no was signed a crabia, ni name, ni signature, and address no. If you cry, anyone be brebe, into delays no, ayana, and yena, a yamu. Oko a crowd officer, a lawyer do over person bonity. Or a lawyer, but prepare land document, abra paper no, or sign blank paper. The stamp and then the pen, the bottom. Enti document I am she was on the crown. Now was signed. Now document ne da come typist bi a wati baby. No abono basa. Now so was submit na dia ba. Na the buy office wa. Na me ameti wa me land expert na se me hwe na se nye. Na ni ma no me kase cobra ye say ya. E lands commission. Enye ye ne a. E ye ne ya kasa. Enti e besre mo. Wo be so to asase a. Your office or papa wati ho amantua ne ka. Okọ na okọ consult na. E for free. People come to me if they want to buy land. They come to me. Advice be a mobiano. You don't need to see a lawyer. I will consult for you for free. That's why I might chair my customer in yes, man. It's Mumbra. Hello, Wasre. What's it? Lawyers mean just I can a better money, Juma. Someone who lawyer follow. You, the Mukono. You, yes. But I want to say, we're taking the last batch of questions. Somebody.
All right. Openi Yedasi. My issue has to do with Assembia. As Openi Peter Okan. What's it Kaswa? Your registration there be Lands Commission or do we have an illegal one or just no?
Illegal office.
What are you people doing about it? Having seen that said,
yeah, I report to Amma Kasua Divisional Command on 3 occasions. Arrests were made.
Okay, so that,
you know, Miami part.
For me,
you go there. Opa, wa ma trust as o Kasua nyinya no no. O hwe na ba me hona be delay e be delay dia o de ko ho. On be register ma opa na ba yes search me ho a o be ba na o say register. Illegal. What Kasua they say be there
yeah.
You know.
The person be can say I think one of the things you got because of the sensitive nature of land. Anyhow it is, you know. I think you need to do a lot of public education and on some of those things because the situation is two way. Okra we adwuma wo lands ho na nyame amoawa. Na ye adwuma ya yeti. How are you, for instance, what's the relationship between you and even some of these financial institutions and their legal people or those who are in charge of? Sebeya, obide, your friend is saying that so-called fake, no bad. What are some of the things they should look out for? And because the banks in the Koyena, Yamianya Wadomana, or okay, and I only will be or lands just to even check her. It means that. You have a lot of money. I think there should be a lot of collaboration between sectors and all of this. And even the leasehold, essentially leasehold, they need freehold. I think the most important thing is to look out for unexpired term because the amount will be 99. Oh, your second or third week, and if you were trouble already, will be a trouble 80, 70, we are 80. No, how 10 years a pet, I'm Renasun. what are some of the things you can just do? A boy man for whom Sanyama will know. What do we point?
That is the bottom line. Until you go to assassin, seek advice. So by why is a lawyer Samamika some Mumra Rubio because we send a Juma. Lawyer, put a munko who was sorry her lawyer Kwame Usuo. Ukohuna, obey advice, obey Musma advice. Madame because to us as well airport. Mo. Onim or to us as $700,000. Wa mama mane. Onimu.
What's it there?
Oto assassin $700,000.
Ajo bejo.
Oto wie no. Asom penny. What the brand say me mo an register me study no na ka 3 years na lease na expire. Oza ono onim le make na say. Opportunity. Aka 3 years. Onim. Entino e also oba lands. Now surrender 3 years no for a longer lease. Also call her and work no enye for free. Ababa sa genesika as if say lease no expire near ma fresh lease. Obetua. And $700,000 now what on one we are saba for renewal. On a regional lands officer. On 1 year no to be about 30% of the value. No was say tia. But oba me ho and I said your mom $10,000 be create free year. I could have saved him a lot of money. And I'll call lawyer on G20. I'm going to make 10. And I'll get lawyer did $20,000, sir. And could save you $300,000, $400,000. But can't afford the university. Oh, where do you was in the phone? Elder, very careful.
Elder, I'm in state agencies now, they say you're board. Obatema, Eduaka CBC long room in chair hono. Document bia ope. Import and export. Last week, your honor EU for refer documents we ma mesemen confirm. Obia export to from Ghana to Italy. Documents ni na ye fake. Obi na ako prepare was said Diana said Diamano. Assign me CEO signature. Assign me the or half. I could do Italy. Almost season my name na osu. So ahun. Uma kwanya obibebu. Ghana yen kind of correct. First u kwabro chira na nke da form. U fa baga na ukọ. O tina play mu ko do hitra. Na ebusa say oni e fro say ya kwatin. U be pede o so me be school be sin ko. Say u be sala wo embassy abre. Ni nyina fi say yen kind of correct. We cannot be truthful to ourselves. Number of times you intercept fake documents and adults. And you say you more amount for cocoa. You press releases. You radio programs. You my edu. And so still said Bianca Sienasino. You chebia ya dear. Uko ebe boom. Diana, you bet you free one answer.
Open your bread, Mufa microphone, I'm so a bread, open your sache. Opening.
Mefa kunya misa asembisa mienu ni miense. Die di kan asase a titi asase a ohene edisu a won krate nyina Gold Coast die wo ho Ghana die wo ho na sa prempren Ghana nkrata na nyina wo ho na aho bi age wa atrase a ye ma wom na bi portion kakra bi wom akoye nkrata enye papa efi lanso a na wom otombie eni ache wom se die wom ye ne se wom pese wom si hene emra wom si ne da ama nsem akokot ahodo bebre nyinyina bia womfo na die ekoso sprempen se lance etimi ama won krata a krata no ene die wo ho na ye tetede no ense ama wo mutumi akọ national friends traditional council emi ama wo mutumi se wo munsi hini biom wo munsi hini wo krom ho emra wo munsi hini da nti yete sa asam ni futu ya enso de ma wo mse wo monko higher priest na enkoka saa asɛm no ansɛm no bi da ho wɔ na ye ha adwene wɔ mu ni sɛ adan na lands for kra mokɔ a monim sɛ ɔhene ya gazette no a ni signature also wo ama obi aba no abɛyɛ ho bibia na foforo aba abɛyɛ ho bibia toatoa so saa no so obi ba no de saa asase no ensɛm ɛsa bɛdaa mo a adan na obi timi yɛ saa nkrata no ma wɔm na de ebia metimi nya kakra ne sɛ ebia na in freelance aka na free obi no ayɛ fake one but mo bibia wɔ so signatures ni nyinaa ɛwɔ so court ayɛ koɛ no wo mu krim no ibisa lance for no se ane nipa kro no by ede ohine a ote aseɛ ɛne nkrata ne ne signature ne bɛyɛ o me defend a o mabio enti ɛhɔ no mesrɛ mo ya momoa na ma how koso bebi wo wa ma ju sɛ saa de a wɔn bɛko wɔn dom tumi bɛgye de to so mienu akwanhwɛfo asafo yato nkrata yakoye adwuma wɔ yakoye register wɔ lands wɔ entitlement wo bibia na yekɔgye krata no sɛ obi ba so obi asɔre bi bɔ nkyɛn ɔbɛ so ɔgye ɛfa yɛde kodi ho asɛm wɔ court ɛna ebi akɔ beebi ɛdan na afei yɛhwɛ asa nkrata na lands wɔ no so mu asa nkrata no biom na baako no ono ketewa na ɔgye no de ne nkrata no ho wɔn bɔhwɛ a wɔn mu hunu nkrata no ɛno nso yɛhunu sɛnea mo betimi aka afade twatoɔ koraa yɛ ebrem asase ato ama asafo no a ɔhene a ɔyɛ krata ma wɔn no wuo na ɔhene foforo a waba ɛse asase no ato ama asafo no ɔgye mu bupen ama aka bupen mienu na ama asafo no wɔn kɔ lance a ɔyɛ krata no wɔn sɛ wɔn yɛ krata no aka kakra bi enti wɔn mu ntimi nyɛ ho hwee aden na kakra na aka no wɔn ntoa so ɛnyɛ mma no ɛmma wɔn na ɔhen na no oni bie kura no ɔno deɛ wɔn ayɛ nkrata no efi beebi efim damase.
Me find say last question no. They say there's one question on Zoom. Okay, so if David. So if you can read it for me.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the procedures one needs to adhere to after receiving a free family land with a desire to register in his name? Is the process the same as with other normal purchases? Then the follow-up one comes that well appreciated presentation. Please, where do we stand with digitization in the administration and management of the lands at the Lands Commission? And that's it.
Okay.
If you're okay with it.
Yeah, so two questions, isn't it?
Yes.
Online questions. Okay. So is that the last question? Moderator, so is that the last question?
Okay. Okay, I want to go to the village in a way. We know if you go to the villages, we have our grandparents farming on piece of land. And then they die and go, and then we have the family members that continue farming on that piece of land. With time, you see that development has catch up with that piece of land. And then the chiefs will go and then zone the place, and then they will sell them as residential plots. As a family member or as a family farming on that land, what are we entitled to in terms of interest? And then can we just be sacked and then the chief will come and then take that piece of land? Or what do we stand to gain when change of use in terms of zoning and those things happen?
Okay, the last question. Abna, the last question. I'm saying, Emrana Court, now for you, and our question for you. This is the last batch. What you say? The last batch. So Abna.
Hello. Okay. Patch on my questions near you know. So the first one is, if I have a land or I purchase a land or a landed property from an auction, what is the procedure under this act? And then the second one is, if my parents had a property and my mom died and my dad remarries.
Hey, kwasi we dey emu odupa o. Obasori akọ. You have not to us.
Okay. What is the procedure? Property, you know, can daddy will it to his, I don't know, the second wife, does she have any interest on it? Like,
you have not, that's it. That's it. I say you I'm some record. Oh, question for last question, then he answers and then we close.
Dan patrol me be say what to me sit down na be me fan say what to assassin be 24 years na we sit down esiso we see so wie no obi fufu fie chi by say assassin ye ni nua de na ni nua na ewu na obi ato na ama na wa ji wo fie na efuru wo nse without compensation ana
yo that's it.
All right, so yeah, far away as the last question. Now, as I said, so I'll take it. In fact, they were online so first. Two questions. One was Oje family or as family as assessor. Is it the same procedure as you do for others? Yes. Say the family name they should be able to do a documentation for him. Then he can go and register it. Osha law anymore section 37 recognizes oral grants. But me always make us say oral grants. No, you should not be in a hurry to accept oral grants because say ochina ukujina court he says, she says, no be niho. So reduce it as much as you can in writing. Very important. The second one online was to do with digitization. Osha Act where section 73 to 76 recognizes what we call electronic conveyance. So it's futuristic. I say you may do a stage where you can do transaction. Obey and then any paper. On computer, no way you are transmitting, you are signing electronically. So it is forcing the commission to look at how we can infuse even before this act. Osha Lands Commission from being purely paper 100% to gradually transforming into a digital environment. Akwa Enim Kakra, for instance, searches in Accra and Greater Accra and the new regions, 6 no. You can submit it online. You have a resource now, no way now resource and so online for searches. The other 9 regions, but it's about resources. Once the digitization, you can't so easy, but it takes a lot of resources. You have to have stable power. You have to have the machineries. You have to have the training on the machinery to be able to change the results. So a gradual process. And the law has made a lot of provision for digitization and how it will help us transform. Abna questions, no. One about whether ni mame kwa or betrikra mane mame na or kono. So the most important thing is that if it was owned by the mother and the father, you must understand whether the mother has a portion in it. It doesn't, you can't be joint tenancy and tenancy in common. Say, any right of survivorship in Ghana, no, it is more of tenancy in common. So, ni mami wo chefa wom. That is why we don't let people do Mr. and Mrs. AJ. Because Obia da name is Betimiya da name Mrs. AJ. So it has to be Madam Paulina AJ. There's only one Paulina. Ni papa is unlikely to marry another Paulina. So or ni mami wo chefa or property. So based on whether the mother had a will or whether the mother based on PNDC law 111, omo chefa ewomu as children, no, it will be protected so that the father can on any new wife, no, they can deal with on only portion of the property, but the children may have an inheritance to the children. That is auction question, no? Yes, when you buy at auction, the law makes provision for documentation that, in fact, certificate of purchase is a recognized instrument of registration. Into auto or auctioneer, what you get is a certificate of purchase. The problem with land, they say certificate of purchase, no unima, a just certificate and describe land, no, and for site planning, it doesn't say a lot of things. So in the LIs, it's one of the things that Yehu said. The certificate of purchase for land should be described differently, so that there will be a standard way in which you can prepare it. So yes, you can buy it at an auction. Then the certificate of purchase can become the instrument of registration. O question no ye one about what was asase so an obi abase ya ton amano. As I say, wo to asase no wo register ya na. So register ya, it will be your protection. So one register in krata wo de toye no. Eno na ye wo defense asase na ye odia. And if you've been in possession, say wo asase no so beyond 12 years, obi amba fe no obi be appear after 12 years, then what we call the limitations decree, no, it will be in your favor. Say what now, so 12 years, a trim, 6 years, yes, but obi obedi obi man so bia or no the nkrata beba. Also, as I say, we you nkrata ba. That is the thing. Make me challenge you anytime. But the amede beba no also for nkrata bra. Then it is that's how we will know whether it is for you or it's for the other party. I think Elder can a lot about customary land that ebia ya registered dada, a church in the land that was registered dada. For me, as we say, we are like me, senior kind. We are not a perfect institution, but we work with the ayewo. Examples now set here about a stool land or registered for years. People fake signatures over time. People try to yenye experts in that field. But the Amitimiyakachi Obia said, once we find out that the thing is wrong, the court expunges it from our records, we will act by it. And if there's a basis of investigation that establishes some fraud or inconsistencies, every day a dose. So signatures are fire so we'll look at it. I think Senior Wechiho talked about collaboration with agencies. Very important. Training with the police near the idea to help us, like prosecution, like land guard, and same say, any lands commission, we have to report and then they will go and prosecute. You are discussing in certain circles, say, like SNET for who say among prosecutorial powers be. This is what they cast SNETA. They train prosecutors who can take you to on a Saturday court. Maybe lands commission should be thinking about those things so that a bit police know to deal with some of these specialized areas where we have. My senior, I'll end with your last question about communal land that family has earned. There are two sections in this act that explains what should be done. I think one is section 19 or 20. A case say, oh, land this big. Na mu use for farming. Na a chrono catch up with data. The stool can take about not more than 50% of that land because it has changed, the user has changed. So they can take up to 50% of that land. The rest you should have a share in it. I think it's 50 years. So the law seeks to protect, but it seems also to give an opportunity to the stool or the family that because development has caught up with the land, it is important that they also must have some share in the land. So they cannot just come and scheme the whole area and as I said, almost at a ton without any recourse to the family or those who. So the loss, I think, is 50% if I'm right. So on this note, senior, wait there. Yes. 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 Yes.
No, for back home. Yes. Or the back home,
yes.
Not three nakaro.
Yes.
Wafa.
Yes. So
do the chiefs know this law? Do
no.
Know about this law?
So that's what we are educating and hoping. We're with the House of Chiefs recently that they should understand that the days where it was discretionary, or no oba, now the law gives a guidance on the limits that you can go. Oh yes. In fact, there are many things you can go to court for now. One of them even is the accountability, stool accountability, section 13. Your subjects na ohenene manage wasase mawa. Na ohwena sikanomu hu baby efa. You can try first the customary way. So we exhaust here no na ontie wa, then you can go to court. In Takrade, there's been some big compensation case where compensation was paid by Ghana Gas to a stool. When the subject asked the stool, he refused to account. The court has said he should come and pay the money into accounts. So now, Sikano say Ebiafa baby. Now the court has ordered you come and pay it into accounts first before you be the assembly wheel. It's na court here say no any subjects ne bo ho komo na komo di komo nanka endu baby a edu sesia no. So the law makes room for a lot of accountability now, both from this, and we have guidance in the law that will help us. So on this note, senior, before my mic, no.
Oh, Timo, with the Eda, Mpacho Timo, with the last one.
With your hijacking.
I would say, me kind bisa say, akwanya wo ho say ubi register na sase. Na lands commission timi sign register ma ubi. We say there be. Na me was asase ma register for so many years. My transfers. Na later me who say ubi akwa register this the whole area ni nyina e woni dim. Lands commission register mana e dey na menye.
Oh, so you can petition. There are many ways. Some people choose the court option. Some people to compel us say any the right thing. Some people petition beyond say anka say me na maya obetimi a petition me chief executive. Now I set up committee just to look in it. Sometimes yes anya no enye da ho. Sometimes it's just the way in which we record. Nkofo bi wo ho no ma me wo ho are 2 MPs. Same parcel of land. Ye momu land title certificate. Ba wo hwe no obi ye ni de wie no one complete last process no and na obefa the document call ye. So we didn't complete the process of edging it in our records. And the next person ne buy no we missed it. So it's true. Ye betinya ye, as I say, we are not a perfect institution. But petition and let us know. When we know there are procedures I ebekwa ye betimi di eyi sadi ni wo we can do that. It's we there, Bra Peter. Elder we there ma join and then the minimum na di Sabbath no. Inti no mem se mo de beche me. Inti we there ni pese me da mo ase. Faso da me senior colleague ase. Me ba sorry me ni age pa because oye consultant wo ha. Inti me kwa onu no be deal with the aka ni nyina. Na yere nso wo ha a we hu se onu consultant kakraka ni. Inti me there ne se ma be present. Me wi a me bu me kete me ko. No, me da mo ase. Nyame nshira mo nso, nyame nshira mo pa.
Good. And I must say, Enya Timothy say, Timo, oh, come drag the was a power about it. With the Mijna, a some penny for your district pastor, and a sorry man, the Asita, I can see every month. I'm saying, as I said, dear, you can't see a can once more, and can idea betching. But I said, okay, I'm still around. The questions be on more. I think I have a lot of land economists with me. Abna Kasa, lady na, oh yeah, he did land economy. Question mood, you know. I think, yes, you also did land economy. He is with a private valuer. And then my old friend, yes, honestly, land economy. Yes, senior. And I think there are some few people who have done a year land related. You ever done your me ada Timo so ase. Question bi a ho no mo a e ba sorry a no mo busa me. So frɛ dwuma mu no man fa e bi ana pressure no so. Wo de e ba sorry a ye pon a wetimi busa metimi a chechiro mu. E da mo ase. Afi ansana ye beto closing I don't know say bi a announcement bi wo ho ampani for David